Hello there and welcome to Black Jackal Gaming. Today we're going to look at the captains in the Codex Space Marines and rank them. So first up we have the standard captain in his Tacticus armour. He comes with the standard profile of movement 6, toughness 4, 3 up, 4 up save, wounds 5, leadership 6 and 1 objective control, and he comes in at 80 points. So he's got a bit of a weird data sheet where the weapons that he's equipped with are a little bit all over the place. You've got to take a specific set of weapons, so you can't mix and match exactly what you want. And this is kind of based on a problem that GW made itself by just releasing separate models for each one, saying, oh, you can only equip what's on the model, and then give them a different data sheet in the previous codex. Now that they've combined them together, they've kind of still want to go down that route because, you know, they want to make money, they want to sell all those models. So it puts you in a little bit of a difficult position when working out exactly what to do with this guy. If you don't want to go for the power fist for the extra punchy and take the plasma pistol with that, then really the other option is the relic shield with the bolt pistol and power weapon, because you do get an additional wound with that, which is quite nice. So this guy is fairly okay. You can join a lot of squads. You can join the Assault Intercessors, Blade Guard Veterans, Company Heroes, Hellblasters and Furnace Intercessors, Stern Guard Veterans and Tactical Squad. So there's a lot of squads he can actually join, which isn't too bad for him. I mean, as far as captains goes, he gets your standard ability where you get the free use of a stratagem per battle round. And once per battle, he can gain 3 additional melee attacks, and they all his attacks in melee for that phase get devastating wounds, which isn't too bad. I think as far as the captains go, all of them are a little bit on the meh side mostly, but I think just because of flexibility, the amount of units he can join, and that you do get that slight bump one time a game, you're probably going to put him in the A category. Next up we have the Gravis captain. So he's got essentially the same profile, but he's an inch slower, and he has T6 wound 6 instead. He's got the 2 options you can take, either the mastercrafted bolt rifle with the mastercrafted power weapon, which is a separate model to buy, or you can take the one with the Boltstorm Gauntlet, which does double up this power fist, and then he gets extra attacks via a couple of different options, but you're probably going to take the Relic Blade. You do have the option of the Chainsword or the Relic Fist as well. Unless you're going into a Horde meta, you probably do want to be going the Relic Blade, or possibly the Fist, depending on what you're going into. The Chainsword's not going to come into play that often. So he gets the standard captain ability for the free strat per battle round, and then he has an ability that just affects him that halves incoming damage. He can only join Aggressors, Eradicators and Heavy Intercessors. So it puts him in a bit of a strange position, where he doesn't really buff the unit he joins apart from the free strat, but he is the same price as the normal captain. But he's got limited options of where he can join. Eradicators are quite expensive and a bit hit and miss. Heavy Intercessors have become much cheaper, but there is a better option to have with them with the Biologus. But you could put him with them. And the Aggressors, he does go well with them, especially in certain detachments where you get the free use of the strat, especially with the Flamer ones. You can really ramp up exactly what they can do. So I think he's in A or B. With the Aggressors going up in price, you're probably going to slide him into B. Next up we have the captain in Phobos armor. He comes in 80 points. Identical profile to the Tacticus captain, but he comes with the Infiltrators keyword, which allows him to set up in no man's land in the deployment zone as long as he's 9 inches outside of an enemy unit and the deployment zone of the enemy, and he gets stealth, which is -1 to be hit. He comes equipped with a bolt pistol, instigator bolt carbine and combat knife, so pretty poor profile there. You've essentially got 0 AP across the board for him, so I don't really get exactly what's happening there. I mean, the instigator bolt tool for the eliminators allows you to shoot, move, where he doesn't have the ability to go with that, which makes it a little bit on the weak side. So he gets the free use of the strat like the other captains, and his second ability allows him to redeploy 3 Phobos or scout units before the first battle round, which if you're going Phobos heavy, which probably not, that's quite a useful strat to have, but that is only useful before the first battle round and if you want to use it. Otherwise, outside of that, it's really hard to see him get much play. I mean, the problem with that is, well, that you are just moving those units around in or out of cover based on what's going on. Apart from the eliminators, the other units don't really do an awful lot of damage. I suppose if you go in second or first, you can probably put yourself in a position where you can advance deploy a little bit better or pull them out of danger. So you can have a little bit of early objective control, but those units are quite squishy and you don't want them to be too far forward and take the brunt of the force from the enemy because they will just get wiped out. As well as that, your infiltrators, you're probably using them on your backfield to try and screen out any units dropping in from reserves with the 12-inch bubble. So he does have a little bit of a limited play. The only ones that you've really got are eliminators that can hit relatively hard. They're mostly taken in impulses now, but with a couple of price increases, you're seeing them not really being taken much at all. And with the Reavers, do you really want to be taking them? Probably. So he can actually join the Eliminators and Curses, Infiltrators, Reavers and Scouts as well, which is quite nice. But his core abilities doesn't match up with all the squads, so you are going to lose some abilities. You're going to lose the Scout ability and Deep Strike. And Deep Strike, which does really affect how you can utilize some of those units. He's a bit of an awkward model, really. He doesn't have a true place. Probably going to stick him C tier. The problem you've got with this guy is that GW just seems to really rate Phobos units and give them relatively weak data sheets. If you look at the Infiltrators, for example, if they didn't have the 12-inch bubble, you'd probably never see them C play ever, because they are slightly pricey as well. There's a lot of strength for 0 AP attacks with just one okay ability. They're really struggling for a place in Space Marines at the moment. And I think if they redid the launch of Space Marines, you wouldn't see all the Phobos units we see now. You'd probably just see the Reavers, Infiltrators and Curses combined, and then you'd have the Eliminators would be rolled out really as scouts. They wouldn't do what they've done this time, where we've essentially got 4 scouting units. Next up, we have the Terminator. He comes in at 95 points. Same profile as the Gravis guy, but he's toughness 5, and he does come with that 2-up, 4-up save, which is very nice. Can either take a Stormbolter or a combi weapon for his ranged attack. For melee, he can take the Relic Fist or Relic Weapon. You probably don't want to go with the Relic Weapon because you do gain 1 attack, but you lose 3 strength. GW really needs to take a long, hard look at balancing melee options in Space Marines, because there's a lot of time when you look at the melee options and you're like, is 1 attack worth losing 3 strength? It really isn't. If that's your only benefit, you're losing so much to get that benefit. Now, if they give the Relic Weapon maybe sustain hits 1 as well, then you'd be looking at it going, maybe that's more of an option we can take. So he has the standard ability for the free strike use, which, it is a fairly good ability. Bit nerfed now that you can only take it on your strategic battle tactics. But it's still an okay ability. And his second ability allows you to reroll charge rolls, which with Terminators is quite strong because they do hit relatively hard in melee in comparison to the other Space Marine units. He can only lead Terminators and Assault Terminators. But they do have some good options there now that there is a Librarian and a Chaplain that can join them as well. So I think you're probably... the Chaplain's a good option for Terminators because it's +1 to wound. But I think your Terminator Captain, again, it's another one that's probably straddling A and B. He's quite expensive, and would you include him in the Terminators? The free strike use is only useful in some of the detachments. I'll probably just put him in A for now. Finally, we get the Captain with the jump pack. He comes in 85 points. He's got the standard profile, but 12-inch movement, and he's got a core ability to Deep Strike. So he comes equipped with a couple of different options, but what you really probably want to give him is a Plasma Pistol and Power Fist. There strangely is an option on his datasheet for a Relic Shield and Thunder Hammer, which is a bit odd because they don't come in the box, so you can't actually build them in that manner. So it makes a bit of a mockery of GW's claims that no model, no datasheet, and datasheet should represent what's in the box. That's kind of like a hard line they take with a lot of things, and then they often forget that with other model ranges as well. So it's really strange that he has that option and they haven't put it in the box. Maybe they're just trying to save a bit of money. Who knows? Their practices are always a little bit weird and generally a little bit anti-consumer. So he can join only the Jump Intercessors and the Jump Vanguard Veterans. Both are actually decent data sheets as well. That's what probably gives him a little bit of a bump maybe over some of the other units, the fact that he can join 2 units that you can get a lot of play out of. So he gets the standard captain ability for the free strat use, and he has the ability for +1 strength when charging. It doesn't push the dial that much on chainswords, but it is also always beneficial to get +1. Your Vanguard heirloom weapons would probably benefit from them as well. Pushing things to like the strength 6 and 5, 6 and 7 are always quite useful. The ability for those units really come from the abilities on the datasheet. That's where you get a lot of their benefits. The mortal wound abilities are always really good. Now this guy is fast. You can take him by himself as well. I don't see a place where you would really lean to taking him too much by himself, because he is the same price pretty much as your 5 jump pack intercessors. But I think the fact that you've got a guy that can deep strike down with a unit that can hit relatively hard in combat and can be action monkeys, I think you might be pushing him up into the A tier. And this is just based on the fact that 2 of the units he can join are quite good. Now, there's more flexibility with your Tacticus captain, and he can join the Hellblasters, which might move him up because the Hellblasters are in quite a nice position and there's a lot of different options you can take with them, different wargear enhancements and stratagems that really bump up their damage output. So I think I probably will move them up just for flexibility's sake. I think the Terminator one could be slightly better, probably needs a slightly better data sheet. Maybe a +1 on the charge would be quite nice as the reroll. But he is joining only 2 units, one of them being the standard Terminators, which is a fairly okay data sheet. The Assault Terminators, on the other hand, there's not really any point to take them. Their ability is absolutely useless. It's a battle shock ability. And you're not really getting many benefits from taking a Thunderhammer, and the Lightning Claws aren't in a great spot for Space Marines at the moment. It's very hard to get the most use out of them. Whereas if you're taking the standard Terminator squad, you get an additional reroll into your Officer Moment target, which is always very nice. So that's it. That's all the captains. I think we're definitely in a position where the Phobos is in the C tier. He could probably even be bumped down a little bit further. You're rarely going to see him play, maybe only in casual games. Gravis is in an okay position. He could probably do... It'd be nice if they changed his ability to halve damage to himself to maybe -1 to damage for the unit. I always struggle to see why give a model abilities when he can't use them on the unit he leads. It just seems a bit counterproductive. And the other ones are okay. The Terminator captain would be much better if he was in a position where the Assault Terminators had a better data sheet. And I think the other 2 are just in a decent enough position. They're probably okay costed. Well, the Phobos being the same price is ridiculous. He could probably lose a good 15 points on his data sheet. So I think they're probably all relatively fairly costed and in an okay position, where there's just a couple of reworks needed on some data sheets around them or a couple of abilities, and you'd see them really being taken seriously and taken more often.